It feels like a fall afternoon in Athens for Georgia's annual G-Day game. You could just feel the excitement in the Classic City as Kirby Smart leads his new team into Sanford Stadium. As all eyes will be on National High School Freshman of the Year quarterback Jacob Eason. Well, back in January, Coach Smart challenged all Dog fans to make this event historic. Even Grammy Award winner Ludacris wanted to be a part of the big show.
First of all, let me tell you what an honor it is to be back home. What truly is and will always be my home. I really want to unite the Bulldog Nation right now and tell everybody, fans, crowd, students, all you guys, all this passion and energy, we expect to see this same passion and energy in Sanford Stadium come the spring game. I'm going to challenge you out there. We want 93,000 fans to come out for that spring game and support us. The easiest thing in recruiting is when your fan base is united and everybody pulling in the same direction. That's what we need, that's what we want, that's what we expect.
Well, they listened, they have responded, and Dog fans have filled it up. 93,000 are inside Sanford Stadium to get a look at the 2016 version of the Georgia Bulldogs as they make their way into Sanford Stadium. You are watching the SEC on ESPN. We are in the Classic City, and it is a classic day in April. Couldn't ask for a better afternoon. Dave Neal alongside former Georgia All-American Matt Stinchcomb. So glad you could be with us. And Matt, you're a former Bulldog. There's never been a day like this for spring football here for the Georgia Bulldogs ever in the history of this program. What does it say about the Kirby Smart era right now?
Well, you know, the challenge was issued, challenge was accepted. You can tell this is the dawning of a new era, and there's a lot of excitement, not only in the program, but from without. A lot of the fan base coming out here not only to see the players on the field, but you heard Coach Smart talk about the impact that it can have on recruiting. That's a big piece of what's going on here today.
Third member of our team is Shannon Spake, and she is alongside the new head coach right now. Shannon?
That's right, guys. Just in the past few seconds, Kirby, you've used words like awesome and fired up. You know, you asked all these fans to come out here. As you look around, what do you have to say to them?
Unbelievable. This is really incredible. I never doubted for a minute the Georgia Nation, Bulldog Nation, would let us down, and they didn't.
Well, let's talk X's and O's. You've got three quarterbacks that we're going to see here today. Using your defensive eyes, what can those guys show you that will start to separate them, that they can possibly be the guys?
Decision making. I've got to see good decisions made with a big crowd here, making the right decision where to put the ball, and communication. That's the big thing for these guys. Just communicate with the guys around you and let them make plays for you.
You've done the dog walk as a player. You've walked out of here as a coach on another team. How surreal was it doing it, leading the guys?
It's unreal. It's a special feeling. Thank you so much to this Dog Nation for everybody coming out and supporting us.
Thanks for the good party, Kirby. We can't wait to see your guys.
It has been a party all day long. I mean, it's felt like a football Saturday here in Athens all afternoon. And, you know, Nick Chubb's a guy that has been at practice. We won't see him. Obviously, a devastating knee injury at the end, middle of last season against Tennessee. He's been working out. We won't see him, but good news for Georgia fans is he seems to be way ahead of schedule.
You talk to guys like Ron Corson, the head athletic trainer, been around athletics and injuries a long time. He says Nick Chubb is well ahead of where they anticipated him being, and yet they're not surprised. He does everything in a superlative way. So the fans want to see Nick Chubb on the field. They're going to see this guy in the game, Jacob Eason. They've been talking about him for the better part of 2 years, really. A long-time commitment. There for a second, maybe waffled with the transition at the head coaching spot. Kirby Smart able to retain that commitment. Now Jacob Eason able to take snaps and demonstrate what this fan base has been so excited about.
It has been, folks, it's hard to really kind of, hopefully you can feel it. We've done a lot of spring football games over the years. I mean, we've been to Alabama and been there when there's been 100,000 folks, but this has been a true festive atmosphere around Athens since this morning, and certainly having Ludacris perform right before we came on the air today has added a little, I guess, a little energy inside the building, but it has been a lot of fun a positive vibe to say the least, despite a team that, let's face it, this team won 10 games a year ago. It wasn't like they're coming off a 3-10 season.
Right. It's not like this is a complete overhaul. You look at that's a 10-win year, but they're looking for even higher ceilings out of this program.
William Ham will kick it off. Terry Godwin. They'll do kind of a makeshift return game here on kickoffs. Not full contact on kickoff or punts on special teams today, but here we go. It'll be first team offense against first team defense and vice versa throughout the afternoon. We'll have 15-minute quarters. It'll be this first team offense with the football, and Grayson Lambert will get the football and lead the first team offense to start this one. The transfer out of Virginia, who saw most of the action last year at quarterback for the Bulldogs, completing 63% of his passes to run the show. This is a Georgia offense that struggled to throw the football last year. Averaged just 185 yards a game passing. That was 104th in the country. First pass looking for Godwin. It's incomplete. Going deep down the field.
As you look at Grayson Lambert, taking those first team snaps, and one of the things that they talked about when we were talking with the coaches is that they like the fact that he can manage the game. He understands what they want to do offensively, not that distinctive a departure from what he did back when he was at Virginia. So he's very comfortable with this offense. And you saw the numbers last year, 12 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, and was able to shepherd into a 10-win season. Says a lot about his game management.
We'll fake it to Sony Michel and roll to the wide side of the field. Jason Stanley makes the catch. Malcolm Parrish with the tackle, a gain of 6. And Stanley is a young man that has really gotten a lot of buzz this spring and moved up the depth chart quite a bit.
Well, we were talking with Kirby Smart yesterday. I was a little bit surprised to hear Jason Stanley's name mentioned only after Terry Godwin. Thought maybe we'd hear about Reggie Davis. But what they like about Stanley, it's not just his pass catching ability. They say his hands need to improve, but it's his attitude, how well he competes and does all the other things that they require of the receiver position, like blocking.
Underneath pass. Caught at the 40-yard line. Goes to Michael Chigbu, the sophomore out of New Orleans. He'll pick up 8 over the 40-yard line. And Chigbu, another receiver. A whole bunch of guys right in the middle of the pack in terms of this receiving corps.
Yeah, when we mention the receiver position, they reference it as a pool. They got a lot of guys that can do some things that are good players. They need someone to break out. Chigbu's one of those guys that's in there. They're kind of all lumped together outside of Godwin and Stanley that have kind of separated themselves this spring.
Hand off to Michel. He is met right at the line of scrimmage. No gain for Sony. Sony last year finished up as the main ball carrier once Nick Chubb went down.
That time, great job by Trent Thompson. He's a guy at that inside tackle position. He'll line up in the 3 technique. That's typically over the guards. And they need playmaking ability out of him. That's something that the coaches have emphasized as well. Not only playmakers along the defensive front, but developing depth as well.
Sony Michel trying to get the edge. Reggie Carter, middle linebacker, and that is one area Kirby Smart and defensive coordinator Mel Tucker says that they really like about this defense. They feel good about their middle linebacker position. As they said, we got SEC players at that spot.
Yeah, it's interesting because this coaching staff, from a defensive standpoint, Kirby Smart and Mel Tucker, they were with Jeremy Pruitt. Jeremy Pruitt, the former defensive coordinator at Georgia, came over there and was sharing offices with him. And Pruitt said, I think I've left you the stable pretty full at the inside linebacker spot. They like Natrez Patrick as well, number 6, a very versatile talent inside.
Pressure comes, and somebody got a hold of a jersey. And while we have a moment, let's get you caught up on our rules for the day. And we mentioned we'll have 15-minute quarters. Running clock, of course, except for scores and penalties like right now. Field goals will have no rush except up the middle. And field goals will be an interesting concept. Bryce Ramsey, who punted last year, will punt today. Isaiah McKenzie will stand back. That is an excellent punt. Down to the 6-yard line. A 50-yard punt by Bryce Ramsey.
Well, Dave, we were talking about it. We were trying to figure out which quarterback we were going to see the most of. There's a decent chance it's Bryce Ramsey. Now, he might not be passing the ball. That was a beautiful spiral, 50-yarder down there, and denying the fans in attendance a chance to see Isaiah McKenzie, who is an electric return man, can always, if he gets loose and out of space, he can roll out, take it all the way to the house. That time, had to fair catch it inside the 10.
Ramsey had to run the 50 yards down the field, get in the huddle, call the play, and now he'll run the show for this offense, the junior. First pass is caught out to the 18-yard line. Jackson Harris picks up 9 yards. Ramsey, he completed 60% of his passes last year, 21 of 35, a couple of interceptions. Coaches said this spring the thing that stood out to them is his ability to really run and create some offense with his legs.
It surprised him a little bit. You could tell that the coaches were taking a little bit off guard at how much he could do with the protection broke down.
Hand it off to Douglas, who's wearing the black jersey, meaning that he is not, they don't want him thrown to the ground. He's coming off an injury. See the cast on that left wrist. He's been practicing all spring, but they don't want him to get hit full speed. Running back has been a problem of depth. They've actually moved a couple of guys over there, including Shakiri Wilson from wide receiver to running back. We'll see him, number 28, a little bit later. And coaches have said in the last few days he's been impressive as a running back. Empty set for the Dogs after a first down carry. Ramsey throws underneath. Isaac Nauta, the early enrollee freshman, a 5-star out of the IMG Academy. Actually started his high school career just down the road at Buford High School, Buford, Georgia.
He's another one of those linchpin recruits, guys that they wanted to make sure they kept committed to this program. And they're glad that he's here on campus early, along with Jacob Eason and others, to help contribute and acclimate to the college game quickly.
Top-rated high school tight end a year ago. Second down and short for this Bulldog offense. It averaged 26 points a game last year. Boy, that pass is behind the intended target, Jackson Harris. Tim Kimbrough laid into him. Now, if you're a quarterback, do you go to your tight end and say, sorry about that one, or you just move on?
You might want to,
yeah,
because he definitely hung him out, that's for sure. That ball was behind him. That was a nasty shot that Kimbrough was able to get right into his lower back. You got to have to shake it off, though. And you can see already in this possession the emphasis on the tight end position. And they're getting targets. You're going to see a lot of tight ends in the formation this year. There's not a fullback on scholarship on this roster. And they're going to use multiple tight end sets when they line up offensively.
Ramsey stands in the pocket, goes right back to Harris. Maybe that's his way of apologizing, going
that's
back
right.
to him.
Get a step on it, man. I'll lead you. That time a little bit too much. At the very least, you're not going to get blown up along the sideline. But you can see how dangerous that position can be. That's something that Kirby Smart mentioned is a mainstay of what Jim Chaney does as an offensive play caller, as a coordinator. He utilizes those tight ends. Puts a lot of pressure on the defense.
Thomas Pritchard will attempt to punt this one away. That is not a good kick, but gets a favorable roll inside the 30-yard line. 42-yard punt. We'll take our first time out. G-Day in Athens, Georgia. Full house inside Sanford Stadium. Back at Athens, Sanford Stadium. Full house. 93,000 for the G-Day game. New coordinators here in Athens. Jim Chaney, boy, he's been around not only college football, but the SEC. Started Tennessee under Derek Dooley for a while, was an interim head coach there. Also went to Arkansas as well. And now the offensive coordinator here, and I think a really good selection for this particular group of guys in Athens. working with these quarterbacks. Hand off to Sony Michel. And looks like maybe a face mask in there.
That was a key hire, no question. And this is one of the things they want to do. They want to get downhill quickly. Watch the movement that they get at the point of attack. Isaiah Wynn, they were working alongside. Looked like it was Jordan Davis there. They got great movement at the point. That's something we're going to see a lot of. Tackles and tight ends working together. Excellent movement right there at the point of attack. Ended up a face mask call on Lorenzo Carter. Reached out there trying to slow down Sony Michel.
Well, that'll move the ball right to midfield. Tay Crowder will come in at tailback. His first work today. They'll go toss sweep near side to number 30. And he'll be run out of bounds at the 48-yard line. Jim Chaney, not only is the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach here, you see kind of his resume, if you will, at Purdue. Had a chance to certainly work with one of the best that ever played the game, and Drew Brees. But Stitch, he's a guy that certainly with the tight ends, he's a guy that certainly knows how to incorporate that into an offense, and he's got some good ones here.
He can work with what he's got. You know, when you look at one of the strengths of this team, you think about the running back position with a healthy Nick Chubb and the tight end spot. We talked about the pool at wide receiver, but what are your known commodities? That's one of them. Going right back to Jordan Davis at the tight end spot. Now, he's a guy that's not just a traditional tight end talent where you attach him at the end of the line of scrimmage. You can get out in space and stretch a defense, get behind the coverage. That's a well-placed football working against the safety in Dominic Sanders. And you could talk about, in Jim Chaney, he will adapt his offense around the talent that he has. You look at Purdue, and it's a quick drop, timing game, spread the football field. Tennessee, he's working with Tyler Bray. Deep downfield passing. Arkansas was run-oriented attack. It's the versatility that he brings that you like.
Hey, for more on Jim Chaney, let's go down to Shannon.
You know, guys, you can really tell the atmosphere, not only with the fans and the players' excitement, but a lot of these coaches, as you just mentioned, Jim Chaney, first time playing a game here. He actually told me before the game, the last time he was here, he lost 51-44. Remembered the score. And I said, well, you know what, Coach, you're going to win here today. And he said, yeah, I'm eating steak tonight.
Coach Chaney has a great sense of humor. There's no doubt. It's good catching up with him this week, and he's excited to be here. I mean, I think there's you can say this about Kirby Smart. He has brought some excitement, and he brings it with him wherever he goes. Here's Lambert looking to the end zone, and that one was through the hands of Michael Chigbu.
Tell you what, though, he's been given a good bit of time to work in the pocket. We've seen that on a number of occasions. With the first team out there, the white offense, they've had time, and you can see some of the pupils of Jim Chaney. Some of the quarterbacks that have been under his tutelage. You look at a Drew Brees and a Kyle Orton. We mentioned that Purdue offensive attack kind of revolutionized what they did there in the Big Ten. And he's worked with some good ones. He really has. In fact, he took a transfer from Tennessee and Nathan Peterman and made him a very productive quarterback at Pitt this past season.
Going to the corner of the end zone on the far side. Pass is incomplete. It was caught by Chigbu. Malcolm Parrish in the coverage, but out of bounds by a step.
Grayson Lambert again with time. And you can see them trying to stretch the football field. Well-placed ball. You look like that. Kind of hard to see from that angle if his first foot, that right foot. See if it comes down inbounds. That looks like a catch.
No replay in the spring.
That's right, no replay. But I tell you what,
we have replay.
That's a great ball by Grayson Lambert.
Coach Smart down there wanted a replay. He was begging for it, but instead he gets a chance to see Rodrigo Blankenship attempt the field goal, and Blankenship will connect. Good sign for Georgia as they lose Marshall Morgan.
A good chance for some situational football, Coach. You know, embrace it. Chance to see your field goal unit get out there and line up. Good to see Blankenship split the uprights, but you can tell that you see Blankenship got those goggles on, man. He had it sighted in. And they're going to need somebody to step up at that place kicker spot. And you think back to this past season, obviously they want to be more explosive offensively. But there have been a number of occasions, you think back to the Missouri game, how important it is to get the field goal kickers dialed in.
Hey, Tuesday, our countdown to the NFL Draft continues on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern, the next episode of Hey Rookie, Welcome to the NFL. Then at 8, it's another NFL matchup, Draft Special. And we wrap it up with a double shot of Gruden's QB camp. Penn State's Christian Hackenberg and the Buckeyes' Cardale Jones. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. 93,000 officially announced here at Sanford Stadium today. Previous record was 46,000 last year.
So they only doubled it. You know, it's 2-to-1 ratio. I mean, the idea that it's just a spring game and there's this type of a turnout, that's quite a bit of momentum going into the summer training.
William Ham will kick it off. Isaiah McKenzie returns it out to the 33-yard line. And let's see who comes in at quarterback on this possession. Will it be our first look at Jacob Eason, or will we see Bryce Ramsey one more time? It'll be Bryce Ramsey. So the 93,000 will have to wait to see the National High School Player of the Year. Ramsey in his first possession. A couple of nice throws, left to tight end out to dry on one throw. Little miscommunication, little toss sweep. Shakiri Wilson will pick up one, and there's a look at a guy that's been playing wide receiver, gets moved over.
A little bit of a time and miscommunication in the offensive backfield. Actually a good job by Ramsey. He goes to turn around and toss that football, and he realized that he and Shakiri Wilson were on different pages. If he turns around and tosses it, that ball's bouncing around, a chance for the defense to recover it. Actually a good job by Ramsey. Nice heads-up play of pausing just a little bit. Killed the opportunity to pick up yardage, but you maintain possession.
Jim Chaney said that Wilson has been impressive in his couple of days at running back. He'll dump it off to Douglas. Hard to catch it with that left wrist all taped up, bandaged up pretty heavily. Douglas has been a nice third/fourth guy in that backfield. Boy, he is, every time he's been called upon, he has been able to produce for Georgia.
And it seemingly happens every year.
Yeah.
You know, you got guys dropping left and right. You think about Nick Chubb's injury. Sony Michel's been banged up in his career here at Georgia, and Brendan Douglas has been the stopgap, a guy that can step up and pick up some of those crucial yards, not just in short yardage as well. And usually a good receiver out of the backfield.
Third down. Ramsey going up top. Pass is caught on the far side. They'll say it's complete at the 30-yard line. Reggie Davis, the senior out of Tallahassee, Florida, making the catch. A gain of 39 yards. Davis, 12 catches last year, averaged almost 16 per catch.
And Reggie Davis is that downfield threat, a guy who can get separation, stretch a defense. You see a little hand fighting. And that time it looked like Reggie Davis not only able to get separation but maintain focus all the way through the catch. He was working his way to get open there alongside the boundary. Good ball by Ramsey.
Fresh set of downs for the Red squad, and a missed tackle, allowing Wilson to pick up a couple of yards. Rashad Roundtree missed that tackle, the sophomore out of Evans, Georgia, and that's something that Mel Tucker was talking to us about this week about his defense, is we got to be better tacklers in the open field. That was one of his concerns leaving spring.
And you can't have that in this day and age in college football. This is one of the things that they talk about. Some coaches lament is where has the skill of tackling gone? Because you look at what these offenses want to do, they will create space based on formation alone. You look at the way Georgia's going to deploy, they're going to load up that box, but they're still going to try to get to the perimeter.
Wilson with a carry. He'll pick up a couple of more yards. That'll bring up a third down and call it 7. Justin Young will lead the charge and get credit for that tackle. A couple of things that Mel Tucker said, post-spring concerns, things to think about moving forward. He said he needed some leaders to emerge defensively. We need better open space tackling, better run stoppers / more physical presence up front, and we need to be better at takeaways. And that's not to say that they weren't in position to make the takeaways. We just need to, when they're there, we need to be able to get the football. And that'll be the end of the first 15 minutes of the Kirby Smart era. G-Day football here in Athens. Second quarter on the way. Back in Athens, Georgia, Sanford Stadium, 93,000 on hand, and there is your new defensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs. Mel Tucker came over from Alabama, and well, this is what he told us. Basically, his philosophy on defense, and it's pretty simple. Stop the run. You have to affect the quarterback, and you got to create turnovers. Bryce Ramsey, there was an opportunity there for a turnover, but Stinch, your thoughts about number 2 in particular, and I think that's something that Kirby Smart and Nick Saban really harped on at Alabama.
Yeah, you look at it, and this is basically the blueprint. Now, most teams would want to do this. You stop the run, and that gives you an opportunity to do what? Do number 2, affect the quarterback, and that's when you get a chance to get number 3. When the ball's in the air, if you can affect that quarterback, his decision-making, his comfort in the pocket, just like DeAndre Walker did on that line stunt a moment ago, you get the result that you're seeking.
William Ham will attempt a 45-yard field goal near hash mark, and that ball barely got off the ground.
I think he topped it a little bit. Didn't have a great lie on that one and topped it coming through.
And then a little slide tackle over there at the 35-yard line. Now, once again, no Marshall Morgan. He has graduated, but here's one more look at that, and you might want to, let's see, a bobbled snap low.
Oh, yeah.
Bryce Ramsey on the hold, and that was just a mess from the get-go.
Yep.
But there is a kicker that is from Lassiter High School, Mitchell Wasson, who is a preferred walk-on. That'll be coming to Georgia. That'll be battling William Ham along with Rodrigo Blankenship. And Kirby said that's a concern. And when you lose a guy like Marshall Morgan, who hit 18 of 25 last year, was 38 of 38 point afters, yeah, it would be a concern. Christian Payne, a fullback, with the reception out to the 44-yard line, picks up 17 yards.
Bryce Ramsey now getting a little bit of time, a little continuation from the previous possession, flipping over to the white team now. First teamers around him. You know, the coaches were talking about that affects how you evaluate these quarterbacks. Some of them, take like a Jacob Eason or even a Bryce Ramsey, as you're working with the second team line, are you getting the protection that you otherwise would typically get?
And Ramsey will be touched. Let's see where they spot it, around the 46-yard line. Now, one guy we haven't seen yet is Jacob Eason. I'm just wondering, Shannon, have you been watching him? What's he been going through?
Well, guys, right now he is warming up that arm. It looks like they're going to get him ready to go in at some point. He's back here just throwing the ball around. But, you know, watching him, I would say he's been patiently, anxiously waiting to get into the game. He's had his helmet on the entire time, just kind of walking around, taking it all in. If he is the future of this team, he's certainly looking forward to getting out there and show these guys that arm that we keep hearing about.
Coaches keep saying, you know, here's a young man that should be getting ready to go to his high school prom, and he walks into the stadium and there's 93,000. You wonder what's going on inside his head. We'll find out in a little while. Nice pass inside the 20, caught by Jason Stanley. Malcolm Parrish defending. That'll be a first down, a gain of 48, but that was a nice throw from Ramsey.
I'll tell you what, Jacob Eason is thinking, I want to get out there and start taking these shots downfield. Saw Grayson Lambert. He got a little bit cheated out of a touchdown earlier. Great job by Jason Stanley. There's some of that pass catching ability that they say needs to develop out of number 2. If he can do that, he is really starting to round into form and what they covet at that receiver position. They use a lot of short splits like we see here. He's willing to block some of the defenders in the box to help the run game.
To the end zone, back corner, pass is caught out of bounds. Chigbu with another nice grab, but just a couple of feet out of bounds.
You see another shot into the end zone. You see Chigbu. That's a big target, 6'2". You can see clearly out of bounds that time. But another shot into the end zone on the heels of a big pass downfield, working against Jawan Briscoe. who has really started to emerge at his corner position as well in the defensive secondary.
Ramsey, quick throw. This one is caught again by Stanley. Well, coaches said they wanted somebody in the wide receiver group to kind of stand out. Looks like two might be doing it.
Watch Jason Stanley fight across the face of Malcolm Parrish. He was outside on that ball. Good job by Bryce Ramsey. Led him out there towards the pylon, and Stanley getting across the face of the defender and making the reception. A couple of pops in the helmet. That's what you get if you make a good play in football. You get your teammates to jack you in the head a couple of times. Jason Stanley really showing out so far in this.
That handoff goes to Tay Crowder, the redshirt freshman out of Hamilton, Georgia, with the carry and the touchdown.
There's been some miscommunication in the backfield that time. Nice push, collapsing the interior portion of the defensive front. See Isaiah Wynn, who spent some time at guard last year, lined up at the left tackle position. Kind of an undersized guy, but plays with great leverage. Able to get a nice wash for Tay Crowder to walk in.
Eason gets on the field to hold for the extra point from Rodrigo Blankenship. Tay Crowder with the touchdown run. Will we see Jacob Eason when we come back? Stay with us to find out. Jacob Eason keeping the chin strap buckled. This might be his first possession of the game after this kickoff. You see his numbers last year at Lake Stevens High School out in Washington. The National Gatorade Player of the Year, threw for over 6,000 yards and 59 touchdowns. Had 99 career touchdowns in high school. Isaiah McKenzie. They will spot him down around the 25-yard line, and let's see who comes out to run the show, and you will hear the crowd make some noise for number 10. One of the first tasks for Kirby Smart when he got the job was make sure that Jacob Eason stayed true to his commitment.
Yeah. The duty that lied nearest to him was to maintain the commitment of this quarterback. That was the linchpin of that entire recruiting class. Because now recruits recruit other recruits.
He will swing it out to Douglas. Makes the catch. Douglas to midfield, and wearing the black jersey, he won't be tackled, but he'll be touched around midfield to give him a gain of 13, and Eason completes his first pass.
You see him there, nothing too electric. How about a check down to your back out of the backfield? You hear about the arm. They said what they were a little bit surprised and impressed by is his presence in the huddle already as an early enrollee. The guy's got some gravity to him when he walks into that huddle with his teammates, some guys that have played in that offensive huddle with him a lot of football.
Again out to Douglas, and only a couple of yards on that completion. Roundtree will push him out of bounds. Highest ranked quarterback recruits since 2006 for Georgia. Stafford was number 5. Let's go downstairs to Shannon.
You guys mentioned some of the highly recruited quarterbacks. Aaron Murray, one of those guys. He actually was here a couple weeks ago and had a chance to discuss things with Eason. He said, unlike obviously Murray, who got to redshirt his first season, it's full blown. Expectations are high, and he's going to get in the fire very, very soon. Right now, in fact, he said, enjoy it, but study. He's going to enjoy that one.
Yes, he will. Riley Ridley, another early enrollee, the freshman out of Coconut Creek, Florida, picks up 34. That combo may be making plenty of those throws and catches for years to come.
Coach said we're going to get some wow throws and wonder of wonders. What do we get? We get a downfield throw and maybe a little bit of foreshadowing of things to come out of this offense between these two. Riley Ridley and Jacob Eason hooking up for a big gainer in the passing game.
Ball sits at the 20-yard line. Eason. That one's caught. The other early enrollee, Isaac Nauta. So this is an all early enrollee drive the last couple of plays.
Yeah, he's going to need to complete a pass to his left guard, Ben Cleveland, to hit for the cycle here.
Right.
All the early enrollees on the field right now. Big number 74. Another big part of that recruiting class for Kirby Smart. Already lining up in the second team offensive front. See that list.
Eason 3 out of 3, 52 yards on his opening drive in front of 93,000. That handoff will go to Shakiri Wilson. He'll pick up a couple of yards.
You know, they didn't really ease him into this possession either. You know, we mentioned a couple of checkdowns to get loose. And then you unleash one down the sideline. First handoff of this possession. And one of the things that Kirby Smart mentioned, he knew that Eason was going to want to be able to play from under center. Maybe not something he'd be comfortable with initially, but knowing, looking down the line, that's something you're going to have to get adept at. Knowing also that's something that Kirby Smart wanted in his offense. Jim Chaney, it's not all just shotgun snaps at the quarterback position.
Third down. Some pressure comes and no protection, and Eason is swarmed by 4 white jersey, led by Reggie Wilkerson out of the corner position.
DeAndre Walker back there again. You see it's a bust on the edge. They're running play action as a fake counter. You see Big Sam Madden was pulling all the way across and just kind of busted as to who he was supposed to be protecting. But an impressive drive put together by Jacob Eason.
William Ham will attempt another field goal. This one from 39 near hash. Ramsey, this kick up in the air. The first one was botched. Snap. This one just wide right. So 6:23 to go here in the second quarter. Well, coming up tonight, the NBA playoffs continue with 2 more game ones on ESPN. The Hawks host Isaiah Thomas and the Celtics at 7 Eastern. And then at 9:30, Dirk and the Mavs are at OKC to battle Russell Westbrook, KD, and the Thunder. Both games streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. Kirby Smart, yesterday in our meetings, said one of the things that he's hoping his team does today is not have any foolish penalties. Felt like his guys were kind of getting a little loose.
Yeah.
In terms of how they were practicing in their scrimmages, some really uncharacteristic personal fouls, kind of jawing at each other and things he didn't like to see.
He don't want that. Yeah, he doesn't think competing means jawing at each other. He wants less talk and more play.
Christian Payne out of the backfield. He'll pick up the first down out to the 48-yard line, a gain of 19.
That's something that he wants to emphasize. There's 2 things. He wants you to play smart, and he wants you to compete. And he thinks that those 2 can coexist. You can't play smart if you're getting personal fouls, and you're not competing just because you're running your mouth. You eliminate those 2 things and still have an edge to what you do every day.
Sony Michel will pick up 6 on the carry. Juwan Briscoe will get credit for that tackle. Clock's at 5:40 to go before halftime. What a crowd. What a crowd here at Sanford Stadium. Kirby Smart back in January challenged the Bulldog Nation. He wanted 93,000 inside Sanford Stadium, and he got it.
On the nose. That's remarkable. 93,000 even.
What a fan base, huh? He wanted 93,000. They gave him exactly 93,000. Not Sony Michel to the 30. He'll pick up 16 yards.
Talk about some of the things that they'll do offensively. Watch Jeb Blazevich, number 83, lead up in the hole. Nice bounce by Sony Michel. Hitting that ball downhill on his track, pull the defenders inside, and then getting out to the edge. And that's one thing we haven't seen, at least offensively in this game, is the running game get on track. Keeping in mind, of course, they're going against the number 1 defense. They've had success in the passing game.
Godwin can't hang on to it. That went through 3 red jerseys. Quincy Mauger might have gotten his hand on it.
Talk about the size that Georgia has in the secondary, especially at the safety position. It was something that Kirby mentioned. Obviously, a former safety in his own right, Dominic Sanders and Quincy Mauger in the back end. Good football players, no question. And Dominic Sanders especially, a playmaker in that secondary, but not as big as he's used to with some of the defenses he's coordinated.
Pressure comes. Pass is away, and it's to Jordan Davis. He'll take it inside the 15. They'll spot it down around the 11, a gain of 18 yards. So the tight ends certainly have been a factor today on both of these teams.
And this is the magic of spring game stats. That's a sack probably. If nothing else, it's a helmet to the chin. Nobody picking up Natrez Patrick, blitzing from his inside linebacker position.
That ball is thrown away.
He was looking to get Michael Chigbu on a slant. That time Briscoe, excellent coverage, and Lambert wisely threw the football away. You see Coach Smart, this is one of the luxuries of a spring game. You get to kind of manipulate the situations, game clock if necessary, where the ball needs to be spotted to get the situation that you want. We've certainly seen more than a few field goals. You can see him there lamenting some of either the sideline management, maybe it's the play clock.
Coach Smart wants to stop the clock, but nobody seems to be able to do so.
And a lot of focus was on the sound system today. Make sure that that was dialed in for the concert. Maybe it took some of the emphasis away from the game clock because it's leaking down, you can see. And he's wanting to get his offense a chance to get some red zone snaps before the half.
They're going to try to get this clock stopped. Coach Smart wants to get 3 minutes and change back on the clock, but nobody is able to stop it. While they figure that out, we'll step aside for a moment. Something tells me by the fall we'll get this clock situation figured out.
I bet.
In the meantime, we'll step aside. Back in a moment here in Athens. Hey, Tuesday, our countdown to the NFL Draft continues on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern. The next episode of Hey Rookie, Welcome to the NFL. Then at 8, it's another NFL matchup draft special, and we wrap it up with a double shot of Gruden's QB camp, Penn State's Christian Hackenberg and the Buckeyes' Cardale Jones. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. It's college football today. Sanford Stadium, Kirby Smart got the clock issue figured out, put 3:42 back on the clock. Grayson Lambert in at quarterback, swings it out wide open underneath. Tay Crowder, the running back, inside the 5-yard line. He'll spot it at the 3. Jawan Briscoe, a young man that has been running with the first team. He's been considered, talking to Mel Tucker, the defense coordinator, he's perhaps the most improved guy in that back end and is, as of right now, kind of locked down one of those corner spots.
Yeah, ascending the depth chart. We know that in this defensive system, they're going to have a fifth defensive back on the field quite a bit, as do most defenses. Game clock still giving them a little bit of issues. Resolution is great on the scoreboard. Clock needing a little bit of work. But you could see that Jawan Briscoe unlocks that secondary a little bit, giving them more depth, allowing Rico McGraw to play that nickel position. Aaron Davis sometimes in the money position as well for the secondary.
Nobody open in the end zone, and Lambert just throws it away. Boy, talking to Coach Tucker, you know, we used to always be caught up in what kind of defense you run. Is you 3-4, the 4-3? Right. He says, you know what? There are certain concepts you want to run, but it's all about from play to play, what formation you're in, the down and distance. You can run the 4-3, the 3-4. Are you in the dime? You in the nickel? It could be anything.
Hey, it drives defensive coordinators nuts, but it's what's great about college football is that so many different offensive philosophies. Yeah. It's not just a bunch of pro set stuff. The language is the different, the verbiage that they use, the concepts. You think about option football, spread option, up-tempo game, all of it Drives coordinators nuts. Fans should love it.
Rodrigo Blankenship knocks home the field goal. And the black team has put up 13 points today with 3:27 to go before halftime. Rodrigo, the redshirt freshman out of Marietta, Georgia. Tell you one guy that is here in attendance with the jersey, no helmet, but he has been talked about this spring is this guy, Nick Chubb. My goodness, what a run he had until Tennessee. He had 13 straight 100-yard games at the end of his freshman season through the first part of his sophomore year. Then the injury. Then rehab started. And you know Nick Chubb, he is not going to be denied. He returns to practice in the spring, and he is so far ahead of schedule, even his head coach, Kirby Smart, can't believe it. As a matter of fact, just 3 days ago, he was at practice with no knee brace, running through drills, and everybody's like, what?
You know what? If it was anybody else, they probably would have been shocked. As you look at the numbers that he's been able to compile, you know, when you've got a guy that's coming in behind a talent like a Todd Gurley, and you fill, maybe more than fill, the void that's created with the departure of that type of a talent, you know that you're somebody special. He has attacked his rehab the way he has attacked the lines of scrimmage, and then some when he's healthy on the field of play. And I know that this team, especially the coaches, eagerly anticipating his healthy return.
This crowd anticipating this guy, Eason, his first incompletion of the afternoon, now 3 out of 4. For more on Chubb, let's go down to Shannon.
Well, you know, chatting with the athletic trainer today, they are being really strict about not giving us any timeline for Chubb's return. They did say, as you guys mentioned, way ahead of schedule. It actually wasn't the first time that he had been at practice without that brace on, so he's done it a couple of times, according to that athletic trainer. But also, he's doing Taekwondo 3 times a week. He's doing rehab 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, 15 to 20 hours a week total. So he is really pushing himself to get back onto this field.
Shannon, that sounds like Stinch's workout routine.
Yeah, that's right.
Taekwondo, 15, 20 hours. He truly is. You know, sitting with him last year, multiple occasions, you talk to the young man, and he is, you can just tell he's just a motivated individual. And whatever he's going to do, he's just, you can just tell he has that inner desire to be the best in whatever it is. And there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to come back and be a top-notch SEC running back. I mean, there's just no question in my mind.
He's so driven. I mean, the fact that, you know, see the graphic in comparison to one of the all-time, maybe the all-time greatest college football player in Herschel Walker, certainly one of the best running backs of all time. You could show that not only is he able to step in when he's healthy, but he's the type of guy that, even in the face of adversity, having to come in for an injury or suspension, guys in front of him, and come in and generate not only big yards, but become the centerpiece of the offense. Other guys have stepped up in his stead since that injury, but they'll welcome him back quickly.
Jacob Eason now 6 out of 7, 89 yards. He is moving the team down the field once again. This is his second drive of the game. Didn't play in the first quarter. That was Ramsey and Lambert doing the work in the first quarter. Low snap. Pressure comes, and they will whistle him down. Kirby Choate came flying in, untouched. A couple of missed assignments. They will stop the clock at 2:18.
You know, a couple snaps ago, we saw Jacob Eason. Pocket was kind of collapsing around him. One of the things that they were talking about that they wanted to see out of number 10 is for him to manage the pocket better. You know, don't flinch when it gets crowded. So far, he's been relatively poised. You see there, 6 of 7. We've seen a couple of nice strikes downfield, some smart checkdowns as well. But don't flush into the rush that they've seen a couple times this spring.
Pressure again, gets it off. There's a flag, a hold. Oh, and a big block. McKenzie came back and with a big crackback block as he hit Jawan Taylor. But a flag, and that play will be nullified.
See, just beaten right now.
Holding, number 65 offense.
Top of your screen, Brendan Douglas with a nice reception. What a shot by Isaiah McKenzie. Better be careful. He was a little bit high. with that block. As you see there, it's Kendall Baker getting flagged for the penalty. He's a guy that they're counting on stepping up. Jim Chaney mentioned they need another tackle to step up in the rotation.
Eason. He'll be touched back at the 26-yard line. Keon Brown, the sophomore out of Wauchula, Florida.
Keon Brown's done a good job the past couple of snaps as an edge rusher. That's something else that this defense is looking for. We talk about Mel Tucker wanting to affect the quarterback. That's something that the defense that he helped coach at Alabama a season ago did an excellent job of, and from multiple positions. Doesn't have to be just one guy.
That ball was slung over the middle, but too hard. Looking for McKenzie.
Isaiah McKenzie's one of those guys who can affect a game, not just in the return game. They love him in the slot. He's got great quickness, but he's such a small target. That's not a big body to find in the secondary, something the coaches pointed out. They want to find different ways of getting him touches, and if it's on fly sweeps, obviously in the return game, and if they can find him out of that slot, he's a difficult matchup because he's got such excellent short area quickness to shake loose.
3rd down and 12 now. Some more pressure comes. Eason. Pass is caught. That'll be a 1st down. He hits McKenzie. Gain of 13 when they needed 12.
Nice pickup that time. A safety blitz again. Able to fall back inside. Good job that time by Alden Bynum. Picking up the safety blitz and keeping his quarterback clean.
Some more pressure comes. Eason felt it, throws it away. Well, this is a unique spring game. We've done a lot of spring games. You don't see a lot of blitzing in spring games. This game's a little. This is a little different.
You know, they talk about wanting to be competitive. You know, that's the one of the things that Coach Smart mentioned. This is a big part of what they want. They want guys out there competing. That's part of the reason why. Another thing you don't see in spring games is first-team offenses versus first-team defenses, twos versus twos. They want to see that competition out there. You know, Mel Tucker's out there saying, look, you're getting in the red zone. We'll start heating you up.
Second down and 10. Ball sits right at the 14-yard line. Eason has time. He'll go underneath. Hits the tight end, Isaac Nauta. He'll take it down to around the 7-yard line. Give him 7 yards. Clock goes under a minute here in the second quarter.
You see there, Eason, you know, trying to work under a minute in the red zone, working up and down the line to make sure the call's communicated.
Over the middle, pass is caught. They'll give him a touchdown, 7 yards away to Isaac Nauta.
Another one of those early enrollee connections right over the football. Nauta gets his quarterback a target, turns around, flashes his hands. They did a good job in protection, picking up the pressure, opened up the window for that touchdown pass. See number 10, 2 impressive drives orchestrated by the soon-to-be freshman.
William Ham completes the point after. So Eason, how about his 2 drives? 9 of 12, 116 and a touchdown. Bryce Ramsey today is 3 of 7 for 57 yards. Or excuse me, 4 of 6 for 77 yards. And Lambert, 5 of 12 for 69 yards.
Talked about they wanted a couple of wild throws. They've seen him stretch the football field. I haven't seen a ton of runs, certainly none that have popped. But in the passing game, a good job, not only in protection with some of the blitzes, and we've seen it more active in this game than most. Now, they're not kitchen sinking the offense. They're not seeing all the different pressure packages. We've seen some line stunts, some secondary pressures. Good job in the protection scheme. They've left a couple of tight ends in to help as well. The quarterbacks and receivers able to capitalize.
Godwin will take this kick and be touched at the 20-yard line. Well, here's our quarterback comparison and who will be the starter on opening day against North Carolina. Yet to be determined, and this race will certainly go on through fall camp. Eason 9 of 12, 116.
We've seen some nice deep balls in this game too. Ramsey to Reggie Davis, Jason Stanley, Jacob Eason hooking up with Riley Ridley early on in his first offensive series. Stretching the football field, allowing the receivers to get in there as well as the tight ends at receiving.
Ramsey will take this snap. He'll just throw it out of bounds. You know, it's hard to put a lot of stock in spring game performances for a quarterback. I go back to, I was at Alabama a couple of years ago. This was 2 years ago, maybe 3. Blake Sims had a horrible spring game, horrible. And everybody left there thinking, if this guy's going to be our quarterback, we might not win a game. They went on and put on a clinic.
Right.
The following fall with him as your quarterback.
Cam Newton's the same way. I mean, he's just really underwhelming in his spring game at Auburn. The only spring game he had there. And I think it worked out pretty well for him.
Yeah. But it gives you something to talk about. They'll dump it underneath to Sony Michel, and he'll get it out close to the 45. That's a pickup of 14. Sony coming up on his junior season out of Plantation, Florida.
And that's something that Sony Michel can do and contribute to this offense is with his hands. He's great in special teams, but once Nick Chubb comes back to form, not that Michel's not an excellent runner, but he's so versatile, such an offensive weapon. We talk about tight ends, the Jeb Blazeviches, Isaiah McKenzie being utilized in multiple ways. Sony Michel, that's a fun little toy for Jim Chaney to have. I mean, a guy that you can split out wide at receiver and out of the backfield and be a matchup disaster for defenses.
Boy, nice throw by Ramsey and another good catch by Jason Stanley. Came back to the football, but you got a good look at the arm strength of Ramsey. Nice tight spiral, picks up 30.
Second charge timeout.
Time busted coverage. Jason Stanley all on his own. And Dominic Sanders from his safety position, late rotating over. See him there, Stanley once again downfield, coming up with a big catch.
Ramsey talking to Jim Chaney, the offensive coordinator, will get a pat on the helmet, set up a field goal opportunity. Rodrigo Blankenship will attempt a 44-yarder. Jacob Eason will hold. Line drive kick will miss wide left. And that'll do it for the first half. So we saw all three quarterbacks. Ramsey put up some pretty good numbers. So did Jacob Eason. 20 total points on the scoreboard. And let's get it down to Shannon Spake.
Bit of an issue. Here we go. All right, Coach, it's spring game. You got the clock's working funny and my mic's working funny as well. You told me decision making was high on your list. Let's just take a look at that last minute, the last 60 seconds. What stood out to you about the decision making of your quarterbacks?
Well, I think all the quarterbacks have done a good job so far managing the clock. But right there at the end, we got a shot at a long field goal. We tried to steal some points right before the half, which I think was good. Jacob did a nice job in 2 minutes, taking the offense down and scoring a touchdown.
What else is on your checklist for the second half?
I need the defense to get some turnovers. You know, turnovers aren't good for offense, but I need the defense to get some turnovers and attack the ball a little better.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Shannon.
93,000 came out to watch the Georgia Bulldogs and this guy, Jacob Eason. He put on a pretty good show. Back with more. Legendary Vince Dooley, 201 career victories. Still walking around the ballpark today, catching the 2016 version of the Bulldogs. New staff here at Georgia under Kirby Smart. Some of the coaches able to put a microphone on during some of these spring practices. Let's listen in as they coach up the Dogs.
Defense over here. We got a good group right here now. I like the way you work. Finish, 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 finish. Close. Not go over the top. You want to take the cutback away like this, okay, and push them to the sideline. The game of football starts when you hit somebody. It doesn't stop when you hit somebody. Finish the block. Work, 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 work. You got to fix it, and you got to fix it. Yes, sir. Okay. Get your pass down.
Hey, when I slide and dive and I see that hole, I gotta accelerate through it, all right?
Hey, don't pin yourself. Don't pin yourself. Good cutback.
That's not a run behind. That guy's right there. Run him down. If you miss fast. Here we go. Hey. Go work this period, okay?
Today, be flawless. That a boy. That's a nice route, dude. Change the game.
Change it.
I already noticed your approach, and I love it. Be flawless today.
Oh, some great stuff from Georgia's coaches. See if that will inspire them to victories and ring the bell next season. Back with more in a moment. Purdy Field, the sign represents where the Dogs used to play, where it all went down years ago. They have since moved to Sanford Stadium. That's where we are at halftime here at the G-Day game as the Bulldogs displaying what it'll look like in 2016. Dave Neal back alongside Matt Stinchcomb. We're at halftime here at Georgia's annual Spring Day game. And new day for Georgia Bulldog football, meaning new facilities. One of those is a new indoor facility that's going up right near Butts-Mehre facility.
A long-awaited expansion. They attempted it before. It was kind of an abbreviated version of an indoor practice facility. Part of the reason why the team has been displaced to the South Millage Practice Complex is because of the advancements they're making in this indoor practice facility, and they're very, very intentional about how it's been termed. It's not just a football facility. It will be utilized for the other sports as well. And you can see it will be a marquee establishment, a landmark on this campus. They're going to do an excellent job with it. The last entry as far as indoor practice facilities are concerned in the conference.
Yeah, Georgia's had to practice out in all the elements. Now they'll have an opportunity to go inside and do some real football practice. Regardless of what it's like outside, should be a big advantage for the Bulldogs. Maybe they can add some trophies inside the Butts-Mehre building, and they've got a lot of trophies in there. Maybe Matt Stinchcomb has one of those in there. Back with more in a moment. Three-time Grammy Award winner Ludacris performing before G-Day in front of 93,000. Also a great actor in his own right. Part of the G-Day festivities today. Kirby Smart put on a microphone before the game today. We had a chance to listen in. It's time for you to listen in as well.
Hey, we talking about practice. Yeah, we talking about practice. This place packed now. Whoa. Hey, the football players are about to be running right here. Y'all better watch out. They'll be all over you. What you came for, right? Go enjoy it, man. Hey, play fast now. Play fast. Enjoy it. Let's go. Play fast. Stay outside. Stay outside. Use the safety to help you now. It's full speed. Let's go. Two. Hey, flip. Let's go. Everybody up. Let's go, guys. Hey. Give them what they want. You understand? They came to see you. Give them what they want. You got me? GATA on two. 1, 2. Let's go. Hit it. Indy. Hit it, run. Let's go.
Oh, he's been ready to go all day. He was ready to go yesterday. So was Uga. Uga always ready to go. We're ready to go for the second half when we come back. Back in Athens, Georgia, G-Day game. As you're watching the SEC on ESPN. Second half football. Kirby Smart down on the field after the intermission. Coach, you got us?
Yes, sir. I hear you loud and clear, man.
What was your message at the break with your guys?
Well, we need some turnovers on defense. We need some guys to fly around and hit some people. Offense is doing a good job executing, but we haven't got any turnovers yet.
Thoughts about Jacob?
I couldn't hear you there, Dave. Sorry.
Let this play?
Yeah.
Thoughts about Jacob? I know you waited till second quarter to get him in there, and I know probably big crowd, first time he's played in front of this many people. Your thoughts about how he handled that whole situation?
No, I thought the kid did well. The stadium was 93K like we asked for, and I don't think he knew anybody was here. he just went out and played football, and that's what he does best. He fires it around, did a nice job managing it. Took a couple sacks there. I'd like to see him throw it away.
Yeah, you know, Coach, I noticed we've done a lot of spring games over the years, and you guys have not been shy about blitzing today. Is that by design? You wanted to see how your quarterbacks and stuff would pick up situations?
Well, anytime we get a chance, we got a limited script in there for those guys. So right now we're just trying to make sure they can execute the calls and go get them. We're not doing much stuff. It may look like a lot, but I promise you it's not.
What about in the run game, Coach? You know, we've seen a couple of nice passes downfield, and the passing game's clicked. A couple of busts in the coverage, it looked like. But what about your run defense and the balance of that being the run offense?
Yeah, anytime you got a spring game, you want to do it for the fans. You want to be able to execute and do some good things. I challenge both offenses to come out, be able to throw the ball a little bit. We got to be able to run the ball, but today's deal is about see if we can throw and catch it in front of a big audience. A lot of them are doing that. I certainly want to see us run the ball better. And after that first drive, I went over and challenged the offense. The one offensive line, they did a pretty good job coming out and getting Sony some runs.
Here's Grayson Lambert as he will dump it off underneath. That'll get it out to the 38-yard line. And Coach, as far as your offensive line, we haven't really talked a whole lot about your O-line. Where are you right now? How do you feel about that group? And is that going to be a work in progress until we get to North Carolina?
Well, I think that every O-line is a work in progress when you start talking about O-lines. We got a two deep there that they're really competing hard. A couple jobs are up for grabs. Isaiah's a guy that's had to go inside, outside, play a lot of positions for us. We're trying to get some depth in that, and we got a couple guys on the way that we think are going to be able to help us as well.
Fair catch called for, taken by Terry Godwin, who bobbled the football.
You want us to give you some time to react to that one, Coach?
Yeah, you might need to take me off air for that one.
We've seen you mention that a time or two. We saw you at practice. You mentioned you that sometimes have to be the tone setter for this team from a leadership standpoint. What's been your boiling point so far this spring practice that set you off the most?
What's that, man? I lost you there.
What is it that has set you off the most? You've mentioned you've kind of had to set the tone at times.
Yeah, the biggest thing that's upset me, we had a couple scrimmages where we had a lot of personal fouls, guys not wanting to compete, guys wanting to fight, and we got to do a better job in that.
Here's Nick Robinson in at quarterback, our first chance to see him. Coach, break it down. I know you've talked a lot about it on your post-practice interviews, but talk to us about your decisions in terms of what's going to decide who your quarterback is when you get to your opener game. I mean, what's going to go through your process between now and the end of August?
Absolutely nothing's changed for us. We're going to get the guy that gives us the best chance to win the game, the guy that won't turn the ball over, that can make throws and do a lot of things. That's been music to my ears when guys execute, come out and do good things, and play behind both our defense and our offense. So to say who it'll be, I don't know. But the process of deciding will be execution and how well they do that.
And is there a time frame when you would like to make that decision to give you the best opportunity to prepare for North Carolina?
Well, I think that you can prepare two quarterbacks realistically for any game. And I think that we got to do a good job of managing the reps those guys get. We got a lot of reps to get between now and then to make that decision. But that's something that Coach Chaney and I'll sit down, see how these guys perform after this game, and make some decisions and go from there.
I got to ask you before, we're talking a lot about football, but I got to ask you about Stinch, because you and my man Stinch go way back.
All right.
You guys, played together. You guys, obviously went through recruitment together. You got to have some story about Stinch, because the reason I'm working with him is I'm the only guy that hadn't threatened to quit. That's why I'm with him.
Here we go.
What was Stinch like? What was Stinch like?
Stinch like?
Yeah.
Well, it's real simple. Stinch was a great player. It's hard to start as a true freshman in the SEC, and he did it. And he competed his tail off all the time. Now, as far as payment for that, he can call me and give me some money later for that.
Yeah, you don't need any money. I think you're all set. Now, I'll tell you what I remember. Here's my Kirby story. Is that I was a junior in high school. And
true story.
The head coach here, he owes a little bit to the old boy here. And that we're sitting there standing in line, they're running the 40. I don't know what he ran the 40 in that day. Yeah. But it was artificially aided by my size 14 foot. He said, put your foot down right here, big boy, and use it as a starting block to run the 40 that day. You might have gotten a scholarship that day, Coach.
That's exactly right. I was a smart guy in high school, so when I saw this 6'7", 300-pound junior behind me, He was ST, I was SM for Smart, and I got my foot up on his and used him to propel me to a good enough time to get a scholarship from Georgia. The problem with that is I don't know who the Georgia coaches were that offered me. They weren't very smart. I wasn't a good enough player to be out here.
Okay. Now here's my turn. You hear so much about it. Your background, the coaches that you've worked with, some of the influences you've had. You've been on a staff with a Bobby Bowden and a Nick Saban, and even off the field, I saw a book by John Maxwell and Thomas Carlisle in your office. Talk about some of those influences that have made you the coach that you are today.
Well, a lot of those guys got to saying do the duty that lies nearest, Matt, and I think that's the key to being a successful football coach. You always got to do the duty that lies nearest. What's important now? And I think that, Coach Saban was a great teacher of coaches. He does a good job developing young coaches, and he did that for me from early in my career. So I always give credit where credit's due. He did a great job of that. Coach Bowden did it in another perspective. He always was great spiritually with the players and did a great job of letting those guys have a whole lot of fun, too.
Well, you've got such a great turnout. This has been a fantastic stage. You've got a concert. You got a great game going. 93,000 people. The first time that they were going to see you as a head coach. The outfit today, what was your theory on clothes when you were picking out what you were going to wear for your debut as a head coach?
There was no story, Matt. Basically, whatever's in my locker, I'll wear. I'm not one of those guys that's going to get too much into the fashion side of things, as you can tell. So for me, whatever they give me, I'll wear. I'm a team player. I'm not trying to be a blinking light, that's for sure.
So we're going to have another visored head coach in the SEC?
Yeah, I don't know who's the other one.
There's a bunch. Hugh Freeze, Gus Malzahn. I think some of them are stapled to their heads.
Hey, and when are you gonna finally settle down and get a house? I mean, when does that happen?
You got to take that up with my wife. She's the boss of that. I handle the work. She handles the homestead. That's for sure.
Hey, can you before we let you go? I mean, Bainbridge High School, South Georgia, and now you're sitting here and you're coaching Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, do you ever have a chance to digest this?
I think the surreal state hit today because for us to come out here and have this many people, it's really unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. So it shows a credit to the Bulldog Nation, and I've always said, why not us? All I ever heard about was, why can't we do that? We can. Just the challenge needed to be issued, and they responded.
Was made by number 19.
It truly is an amazing testament, and I know you and I go back a ways as well. And is there one aspect of today that surprised you more? Because I know you know the Dog Nation as well as anybody playing here, but what is it about today that you'll take away from this as you move forward?
Probably the opening moment that I got to the dog walk and looked down that path and saw about 20,000 people that were there for a dog walk for a 15th practice. I mean, we're talking about practice. We're talking about a practice, and these fans are committed. We got great momentum in recruiting, and these kids, I tell you what, they've worked their tail off to get this, and I appreciate the fan base doing it.
Coach, as you close out, the momentum that's built here today, what's the next big step for the program? Not necessarily personnel-wise, what's the next big thing?
Next big thing for us is to get a little bigger, a little stronger in the weight room, compete, and do a good job. Good job there by Nick. He did a good job executing that thing. But for us, we got to keep improving. We got to get better. We really got a long way to go to be a great fundamental football team, and we got to use that time in the summer and fall camp to improve.
Well, Kirby, we'll let you go, man. Thanks for opening your doors. Thanks for spending time with us, and good luck the rest of the way. I know it's going to be a long road till the opener, but I'm sure you'll get it done. Appreciate you, buddy. Kirby Smart spending some time with us as the Dogs put 6 on the board, looking for 7. And there it is, point after. Christian Payne with the reception. Rodrigo Blankenship with the point after. The dog walk, he said, will stick with him for quite some time here at the G-Day game. Hey, tonight after the NBA playoffs, don't miss Sports Center at night with Max and the coach. They'll have highlights and analysis from all the NBA playoff matchups as well as Major League Baseball, the NHL playoffs, and the rest of your day in sports. Sports Center at night tonight after the NBA playoffs right here on ESPN and streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. Boy, a full slate of spring football games today. A lot of questions out there, especially in the SEC. Only a handful of teams. They will bring the ball back. Kickoffs aren't live. They'll bring the ball back to around the 30-yard line, but still nice to see Isaiah McKenzie and some of his electrifying return game moves.
He finally cut him loose a little bit on that. We've heard the whistle tackle him a couple of times.
But only a handful of schools really solidified their quarterback position. I mean, this is going to be a year of a lot of question marks behind center.
Yeah, we've heard some declarations. Yeah. I wonder if they'll stick, because you look at it, the known commodities are who? Chad Kelly at Ole Miss and Joshua Dobbs at Tennessee, maybe a Drew Lock at Missouri. See, Trevor Knight was named the starter out of A&M, but we know that can be quite the revolving door at quarterback. And we just heard from the head coach mention that a lot of what we see out of spring games, the numbers that we're looking at in the quarterback position, part of it is for the fans, but it's also to see how they handle the pressures of coming out there, passing the football, making a decision like that and throw it out of bounds. You mentioned Jacob Eason. He wanted him to throw the football away. Don't take a couple of those sacks. But the quarterbacks that supposedly have locked in, you see Austin Allen, probably the most recent at Arkansas, replacement of Brandon Allen, who was coached for a couple of years there by Jim Chaney, the offensive coordinator now at Georgia. But I don't know that there's been a time where there have been so many unknowns at the quarterback spot.
Speaking of the unknowns, certainly here is an unknown. You got to feel that Grayson Lambert is the front runner at this point. He has taken the majority of the snaps with the ones. And here is the unknowns, if you will. Well, we were at Auburn last week, and that is a big unknown. After that spring game, I guess it was unknown before the spring game, but
sure,
certainly there was nothing defined.
And you look at these positions, Florida, that quarterback position, it remained unsettled. They had to deal with transition even last year with the suspension of Will Grier. Mississippi State now without Dak Prescott. What does a post-Prescott era for the Bulldogs under Dan Mullen look like? Lots of question marks.
Nick Fitzgerald seems to be a guy that we will hear about more and more. Boy, wide open is Reggie Davis, and he turns the corner. First time we've really called his name in a big way today. He picks up 28 yards.
Getting the ball in Reggie Davis's hands. Comes all the way across the formation, and he's loose and running. You can see some of that speed. Last year demonstrated an ability to get loose and open in the back end of defenses. A couple of drops. A guy that they're counting on. They want his mental toughness to evolve. They need him to buy in more to what this coaching staff has brought. And it's a lot of the aspects that Jason Stanley has already picked up on. It's the other parts of the game at the receiver position. They want him to compete with an edge all the time.
The little things that Kirby Smart talks about, and I guess you get that from being around Nick Saban, but little things like body language after a drop pass or a missed block, the way you get back into the huddle, the way you react to those things. And and he was talking about Reggie Davis. Those are the things that Reggie needs to work on.
Right. It's interesting because I've done a couple of these pro days. You see the pro scouts, the player personnel guys, they watch you all the time. It's not just snap to whistle. It's not just as you run the 40. They want to see how you interact with your teammates. They want to see how you carry yourself. Are you a guy that's focused? Are you goofing around all the time? Some of that's good. Too much of it's not. The body language means something. These coaches are looking for guys that they can count on. The guys that are going to lay it out there every single time that they take a snap. If every snap counts, then you need to make every snap count for you personally. It should matter to you. And that's some of the stuff, and it's not just Reggie Davis. Anytime you got a coaching change, a new regime, some of that culture is going to change a little bit, maybe a lot of bit. And it's a guy like that he's the graybeard in that wide receiver room. They need him to buy in.
Shakiri Wilson. The sophomore, converted wide receiver, playing running back, but there are the receivers and what they have done today. And tell you what, Jason Stanley has made some nice plays today, and coaches talked about him as a guy that garnered some buzz throughout spring and didn't disappoint today. But the tight ends, as we discussed, and they were a factor today, and you can bet that they will be a factor throughout 2016 in the way this offense is run.
There's no question. They've mentioned it, multiple tight end sets. What does that give you? Defensively, it's hard to declare strength if you got a 2 tight end set. They're balanced. Where are they going to be from a personnel standpoint? It can be difficult if you have versatile athletes, guys that can flex out and detach from the line of scrimmage. But also, when you're unsettled at that tackle position, it is quite the security blanket. It's real to know that you've got a tight end there to help you in protection. They can help you capture the edge in the run game. And as many 3-4 defenses as you see now, it's a way to expand the edge. You don't have that short edge when you've got an open tackle over there. You've got a tight end now. That defense has to defend another gap.
The defense creates their first turnover. Aaron Davis, the junior, with the interception. And he's got some running room. Everybody gets out of the way, and it looks as though Davis has a lot of green grass. The old saying, goal lines and headlines. 98 yards.
See a little bit of pressure in Grayson Lambert's face and confusion, it looked like, in the route. But Aaron Davis looked like he was playing center field. Just wait for that ball to come down. Justin Young, who's gotten a number of pressures today from his defensive end spot. And Aaron Davis taking it all the way to the house. And now he's got the lacrosse stick. It comes whoever gets the takeaways. That's the thing they've been passing around in the defensive meeting rooms. These guys, it's kind of like a symbol. It's emblematic of getting a takeaway. Coach Smart wanted one, and he got one now. A little bit of everything in this G-Day game.
Aaron Davis with the first turnover. He takes it to the house. Back with more from Georgia's G-Day game in a moment.
Well, you just saw Aaron Davis come over to the sideline after that interception, and he got himself a lacrosse stick. So you might be wondering why a lacrosse stick. Well, I have the answer. So Kirby Smart has been watching some lacrosse, and he loves the way that the players always get in there and try to create ball disruption, try to strip the lacrosse ball, turnovers, and that is obviously something that he has been very, very high on, not only here but at Alabama as well. So they have 2 of these lacrosse sticks inside the defensive meeting room. One goes to the secondary and one goes to the guys up front. Whoever has the best day in creating ball disruption and getting some of those turnovers. You know, at Alabama he had that ball out belt. Well, here at Georgia he has the lacrosse stick, guys.
Shannon, that you bring up that Alabama, the ball out belt, the championship belt. It was a great story yesterday that he was telling us in our meetings that Kirby Smart did about Coach Saban didn't even know about the belt. He felt like he didn't want to tell him. And somebody asked Coach Saban about the belt.
He didn't even know what was going on. He's like, what's going on? What's the belt about?
Well, you guys know last year in the spring game in Alabama, I was actually on the sideline with the belt. I had it on and everything, and I guess that's when Kirby said that Coach Saban didn't even know about it. But yeah, what he doesn't know doesn't hurt him, right?
Exactly.
He had been thinking, what's a weird accessory for her outfit today? That's what that belt she's wearing.
But Kirby does know about the lacrosse stick, so all is good here in Athens. Pass is caught. Jacob Eason in at quarterback again. Riley Ridley, the second time those two have connected. Picks up 16. You know, when talking to Kirby Smart about Jacob Eason, and obviously Jacob's come out here and he's shown plenty of quarterback skills. We have to also understand he should still be in high school and getting ready for the prom and all those things that Coach Smart has said. But about every 4th or 5th play in practice, he'll make that wow play.
Right.
Make you just go, my goodness, this guy can play. But it's those other 3 or 4 plays that make you realize that there is still a long way to go with this young man.
Sure. Well, man's greatest seed field is time. And he wants to sow into this kid's career very carefully. You don't want to get him out there and subject him to some baptism of fire here and it scar him early in his career. What you want is to bring him along as appropriately and deliberately as you can, not necessarily slowly. They want the best guy out there at quarterback.
And I guess if he's the best guy, we'll see him on the opener. Time will tell into the third quarter. Back to Athens after this. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. It has been a gorgeous day here in the Classic City, Athens, Georgia. The Bulldogs spring game 2016. Dave Neal, Matt Stinscombe, and Shannon Spake. Glad you could be with us. As the quarterback battle continues, Jacob Eason, the youngster from Washington, Lake Stevens High School, the #1 pocket passer in the country, 13th overall high school player in the country, according to our ESPN recruiting experts. You see his numbers today, 10 of 17, 131 yards, 1 touchdown. You wonder, the way the schedule sets up for Georgia, and they open up with a very good North Carolina team. So you don't really have an opportunity to kind of test anybody. You better be ready to go. You wonder what kind of impact that has on, what kind of impact it really has on your decision making in terms of your quarterback. You wonder, though, what it does to Jacob Eason in terms of how that will play into how he gets positioned in the battle.
Sure, right. I think it's not lost on Jacob Eason, who Georgia opens with, of course. That's not his concern, though. What they need to do is to make sure that he's not worried about where he is in the process. That's their job. He needs to just come out and focus on getting better every day and let them manage who starts when and where necessarily. You look at what they start out with, North Carolina, Nicholls State, and then they're going on the road for a couple of weeks.
Right.
There's a lot of challenges at the other positions as well.
That's the kind of throw right there, though, that people will be talking about for a long time this summer. Jacob Eason lays it right in the breadbasket as he hits Reggie Davis, beating Aaron Davis down the near sideline. That was just flawless execution by the youngster.
Look at this touch. Room to work with. Reggie Davis, fingertip catch, hauls it in, runs right underneath this pass. That's just a well-placed ball. And you talk about what they've seen from this kid at quarterback. Some of those wild throws. We've seen him here today. And Reggie Davis, I saw some of his numbers from a season ago. He's acquitted himself relatively well at the receiver spot.
5 catches, 128 yards today. Inside handoff, big hole, and that goes to Shakiri Wilson. He'll go 7 yards for the touchdown. Another touchdown drive for Jacob Eason's offense.
Huge hole running behind Big Ben Cleveland. Number 74, pulling from his left guard spot. Seeing a whole lot of explosive runs in this one. That's seemingly by design per our conversation with the head coach here at Georgia and Kirby Smart. Nice block by Glenn Welch in his fullback position. Well executed there in the red zone.
So Jacob Eason today is 11 of 18 for 168 yards and a touchdown, and a nice throw setting up the touchdown run from Shakiri Wilson. So ESPN's FPI, so they break down the numbers and they kind of predict a future look at what will happen, and certainly in the SEC they kind of think LSU might have an opportunity to win a conference championship. %39% for the Tigers to win an SEC title. Georgia at 11% with Alabama Ole Miss with a 6% chance.
It's so interesting because you look at Ole Miss, definitely the best situation, probably returning at quarterback. LSU is still a big question mark. They lost Kevin Steele to Auburn at the defensive coordinator spot. Dave Aranda coming down from Wisconsin. Such a talented roster at LSU, a great recruiting class after a turbulent season. In Tennessee, the opposite of that, with Joshua Dobbs, a guy who's a Heisman hopeful at the quarterback position.
Bryce Ramsey back on the field to run the show. This possession for Georgia.
I ought to give that lacrosse stick to Greg Pike, number 73. He played lacrosse in high school. One of those guys that probably actually knows what to do with that thing other than get an interception or a fumble.
He might be the only guy. Mel Tucker's son, the defensive coordinator, does play lacrosse. That's where the idea came from. Sony Michel with the carry. Natrez Patrick, an inside linebacker, will get credit for the tackle. Well, you're going to see a lot of number 6 in the fall.
Yes, you are. That is a big, talented young man. And to me, watching him roam around, to harken back to a player that I know Kirby Smart is certainly familiar with, but a Dante Hightower type. Maybe not quite there from a physical standpoint, but a big body that can run. You see him patrolling the inside portion of that defensive linebacker position.
A pass caught by Terry Godwin. As we talk about this Georgia defense, I think one of the X factors in this defense is going to be Lorenzo Carter, the junior out of Norcross. Came in with such high expectations, and when you lose guys like Leonard Floyd and Jordan Jenkins, you're going to need some of that athleticism at the outside linebacker position, and here he comes on the field now, right on cue. But he's a guy that certainly needs to step up. I mean, I think the coaches are wanting him to become a factor.
The time is now. The time is now for Lorenzo Carter. Before, it's a Leonard Floyd. They're moving him all over. He's off the line. He's on the line as an edge rusher. Jordan Jenkins as well. Nice play out there in space by Malcolm Parrish. He takes down Chigbu. But absolutely, they want someone that can affect the passer. You need a pass rusher like Lorenzo Carter. You see Malcolm Parrish, one of those guys as well, defensively, that they're counting on this season. It's the number 1 pass defense in the country a season ago, but they protected that secondary. That was one thing that Jeremy Pruitt, one of the many things they did very, very well. Kirby Smart pointed that out. They're going to need them to step up if they can't affect that passer and get their quarterbacks off the spot.
Hey, Tuesday, our countdown to the NFL Draft continues on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern, the next episode of Hey Rookie, Welcome to the NFL. Then at 8, it's another NFL matchup, draft special, and we wrap it up with a double shot of Gruden's QB camp, Penn State's Christian Hackenberg and the Buckeyes' Cardale Jones. It's also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. 10:41 to go in the 2016 version of Georgia's G-Day game. And another look at Jacob Eason at quarterback. 11 of 18, 168 yards. Underneath, a little bit too hot for Riley Ridley. Of course, Riley, an early enrollee, brother of Calvin Ridley, the outstanding Alabama wide receiver, and kind of a surprise that Riley came to Georgia. I think some people thought that he might go a different direction, but committed to the G.
Yeah, wanted to strike out on his own.
Yeah.
It looks like his brothers probably staked his territory over there in Tuscaloosa after the season he had. But there's a lot of family ties. You see Charlie Warner, nephew of Scott Warner, is going to the College Football Hall of Fame this year. Great return man, excellent DB on the national championship team here at Georgia. Of course, Elijah Holyfield. I think we can all remember what his old man used to do.
Beat people up for a living.
That's exactly right. You talk about a guy who's not scared to put his head in the hole. He's one of those guys that can make what looks like a crease turn into a big hole in the running game. Elijah Holyfield's a guy that down the line can contribute as well. Riley Ridley's a guy, though, that they'll be counting on. You don't want to have to lean on these young guys. We've mentioned a little bit how you want to introduce them in as slowly as you can, but at the same time, you don't want to hold them back. Not a whole lot of redshirting in college football anymore. There's just not enough time.
Pass is caught by Jackson Harris. Picks up 5 yards.
We've seen Jordan Davis, Jeff Blazevich without a catch, but we've mentioned him a time or two in the blocking, and Jackson Harris is another big body, a guy that most likely will be one of those tight ends opposite of Blazevich. Some of the blocking schemes, not just protection but in the run game. Jordan Davis is a little bit longer guy, one that they'd probably want to split out in space, but demonstrating that depth that this Georgia roster has at the tight end position.
Boy, another bullet across the middle. Roundtree on the coverage, looking for Jackson Harris. Roundtree getting a lot of work today.
He had a couple of passes completed in front of him. Timed that one well, though, in the breakup. Rashad Roundtree breaking on that football. We mentioned that safety position. Important in any defense, of course. But they're going to want depth there and also develop size. It was interesting to hear Coach Smart mention the next big step. What is he looking for? They want to get bigger and stronger. They want size up front. That's where it changes. It's a line of scrimmage league, no question about it. The next big step in this program is going to happen in the weight room over the summer.
Pass caught. Terry Godwin. That'll be a first down around the 15-yard line. You know, you can kind of, I guess, joke a little bit about it, but when you think about where he came from and the defense that he worked with last year, which is littered with NFL-type players, especially the defensive line,
yeah,
you kind of got to readjust a little bit because he had two deep filled with NFL players.
That's right. You know what? Listen, you should just be plain about it. Alabama's different. It's different from just about any other team. At the collegiate level, there's a few NFL rosters that probably compare. But otherwise, you have to recalibrate coming from that environment. Doesn't mean that it can't exist elsewhere, though. That's certainly what they're looking to duplicate. There's top-line talent. There's no question. On this field, this was an excellent defense to talk about that side of the ball specifically, but it's the depth that you keep hearing about. You got to be able to roll guys in there and not have a significant drop-off. Not only do you need your top elite players, the veteran guys to step up, but you need the next generation to be playing and contributing as well.
I mean, Georgia's defense hasn't been shabby.
No, I mean, you look at it, and it's right there, yet it's still different. We're talking about a dominant defense, and typically that's what the type of defense that Kirby Smart's units represented in college football.
Sony Michel with a gain of 1. Of course, Kirby Smart was a free safety / strong safety here for the Bulldogs from 95 to 98. 1 year under Ray Goff, 3 years under Jim Donnan. Was against Peyton Manning. How about that? That's not too shabby when your first collegiate pick.
Yeah, that's hard to fool that guy.
First sack came against South Carolina, Steve Tannehill. Handoff goes to Tay Crowder. And he'll pick up his second touchdown of the afternoon from 6 yards out.
Tay Crowder, he just specializes in touchdown runs in this G-Day game. Get the ball down there, get me close, and I'll punch it in. Nice blocking again. Left side of the line. Looked like Trent Thompson got in there just a hair too late. This defensive tackle spot, Tay Crowder finding himself in the end zone once again.
A lot of points on the board. 48 between the black and the red. 6 minutes to go. Georgia's G-Day game 2016. Boy, it's been a great day for Georgia's 2016 G-Day game. A lot of points on offense. Been a great day. Even Ugas enjoyed it. A little warm. He's been sitting on the ice in his little comfort zone. Over on the far side, 93,000 showed up, many heading back to their tailgate spots. Been almost like a game day experience here. Tailgaters out early today. Had Ludacris perform before the game. Reggie Davis will take this kick back.
Well, as well as it's gone, seemingly, Ludacris they're going to ask him to perform before every game.
Ice. Look, having to ice down a little bit. Matter of fact, ice has been something that Georgia's used. They've got a new way to help the athletes kind of heal up. For more on that, let's go down to Shannon.
Yeah, they put me on ice yesterday, too, literally. They are one of the only schools, Georgia, that has one of these cryotherapy tanks. And basically what it is, it's kind of like a very, very, very advanced ice bath. So in 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, it drops your temperature about 140 degrees. You could see me going into the cryotherapy chamber. A couple minutes in, I wasn't as happy, wasn't smiling as much as I was when I went in. It was cold, and I'll tell you, I was a little bit of a chicken. Most of these guys go in a couple days a week. They go in for 3 minutes. I was like, guys, 2 minutes, that's all I got. And towards the end, I was really counting down some of those seconds. But it was a cool experience.
I know.
Literally.
You train a lot. I know you train and run a lot.
Yep.
Did it make a difference? Could you tell a difference after you got out of there?
I think so. Like this morning, I could tell a couple of, my back a little bit. I heard that it gets a little sore, almost like a massage, because the blood is rushing to some of the areas that have been injured. So yes, but I think if I went in there for the full 3 minutes and really did it the right way,
right.
But I was a little nervous. So
yeah, I wasn't going to get near that thing. I know Stinch didn't want to touch it. So first of all, kudos to you for even attempting that.
Yeah, so
I took one for the team, guys.
Yes, you did.
I took one for the team.
Is that thing height adjustable, I'm wondering? Because Shannon, your head was still sticking out of there, but that would have come up to like Greg Pike's waist.
I don't know. That's a good question. I would assume that yes, it is. But you do have to rotate in it, and I got really nervous kind of rotating and was holding my hands out of that because your hands start to get very cold.
Well, when you went down there yesterday after our meetings, you guys said you'd be back in like 5 minutes, and it was like 25 minutes later. Matt and I said, we better get out of here before like the police come or something. So
Diz, our producer Diz was trying. I was looking at him like, should I do it?
Well, you survived, and congratulations on that. Well, Jacob Eason, his numbers today, 13 completions, or make that 14 completions for 185 yards, and that one is caught again, what appears to be to his favorite target today, Jackson Harris. Jackson Harris having a heck of a day. Jackson now has 5 catches for 151 yards. Wow.
Been a lot of passes. He's gotten everybody involved. Wide receivers. He hit a couple of nice checkdowns to the running back position.
Excuse me, 51 yards, not 150, 51 yards.
Riley Ridley, of course, also getting a couple of nice catches in there. Making all the throws to the different area codes.
Hey, it's a spring game. My math is a little.
It's all right.
51, 151. Who's counting?
The old iPhone calculator gets hung up every now and again.
There'll be a day he might have 151.
That's right.
Eason going up top. Trying to hit Harris again. Trying to get Harris to 151.
I bet we'll see a good bit of this. Of course, Georgia's not looking to show a lot in this game other than some exciting throws, of course, schematically. But had some difficulty on some of these play-action fakes off of the power and counter looks. Guards pulling, trying to protect on the opposite side of the formation. And the quarterbacks are getting pressures. Better believe the new offensive line coach, Sam Pittman, very highly regarded coach in this conference, coached at Tennessee, Arkansas, and among a number of other stops. Be working with his charges and selling those play-action protections.
Eason going up top again. This time good coverage on the outside. Reggie Davis was the intended target. DeAndre Baker, the sophomore out of Miami. I'll ask you, Stinch, this question. That is, let's face it, Mark Richt down at Miami trying to get that program headed in the right direction. But when he left here, it wasn't like this program was on the outs.
Right.
The bar here is pretty high.
The bar was really reset by Mark Richt.
So what are the expectations?
I think that it's a fair expectation to win the division. And that's been the expectation really for the past, 4 years? Have come up short, since 2012. Incidentally, facing a Kirby Smart coach defense in Alabama. You see there DeAndre Walker, who's had a nice day getting pressure, affecting the passer, as Mel Tucker would be happy to see.
So,
but that's the expectation.
So let me just throw this. I mean, if you're a Georgia fan and you go 9-3, but win the division, you're okay.
Listen.
I'm throwing number.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I mean,
you better be okay because that's the gateway to the playoffs. And of course, 3 losses may be difficult depending on what the rest of the landscape looks like.
Right.
But you're right, and 10 wins has been the average. Over 15 years, 10 wins. That is a really high floor for a program to have. But you look at what made the Martin Richter era great was you win an SEC championship, 2 of them inside of 6 years. It can get back there again, and it hasn't been. Making an appearance in 11 and 12. And you look at the schedule this year, only 6 home games. Last time Georgia had 6 home games, they went 6-0 at home, and it was in 2012, the last and best year that this program put together. You got one of the neutral site games, obviously Jacksonville and Florida. You open versus North Carolina, which is a fantastic test to see where your program is going to be.
And you brought it to my attention yesterday, which I thought was, you've been here all week going to practice and stuff, and we saw Georgia Tech wrapping up the schedule as always, but you were telling me they were working on playing a little option defense.
I tell you what, watching that practice, there was a lot of things that jumped out to me, but one of them was in spring practice, that defense broke out, and they look at Isaac Mountain. What do you think they're excited about him? Picking up some yards after the catch. But they're working on option football. Georgia Tech looks in spring just to kind of get that muscle memory going, let the defense know what it looks like. You better believe that this coaching staff knows how important that rivalry game really is.
And that's from a guy who played here, knows about it, grew up in the state.
That's right. Yeah, hey, Kirby, we were here at the same time. We were 3-1 versus Georgia Tech. We lost our senior year, and the only one you remember is that one. There was 3 other great ones, you would think. But better know that this head coach and his staff, they recognize those rivalry games are important, and none are more important than that Tech game at the end of the season.
Nice open field tackle. Malcolm Parrish on Tay Crowder. Were you on that team, or was that the game where there was the fumble that...
That was the following year. Yeah, that was the next year. Yeah, we lost in 1998 on a field goal, late field goal.
Okay. There have been some crazy Georgia Tech games. I was here a couple of years ago when Georgia Tech won in that wild finish. An overtime. A couple of long fumble returns. Just one of the craziest games I've ever seen in my life.
50-plus yard field goal, career best, to send it to overtime. Crazy. That's crazy. And incidentally, now I know which fumble you're referring to. I thought you meant the one that was in the end zone. But yeah, there was a fumble along the boundary. We thought it was clearly a fumble. They said he was out of bounds.
Ramsey scoots away from trouble. Lorenzo Carter got there, and Lorenzo's looking at his coach. Said, "Coach, I got there." When you look at the tape, that's going to be a sack.
That would have been a sack.
That's what he's saying right now.
That's right. See, big number 7. He's a guy, though, that they need him to contribute on non-passing downs. He should be a guy that doesn't have to come off the football field. He shouldn't be a specialty down player. He needs to gain about 15 pounds and change the way he plays at the point of attack.
Talked to Mel Tucker, and I said, is he going to be an every down guy? And he says, that's up to him.
Right. Yeah, you hear about it. I tell you what, that speaks to the talent that number 7 has. Lorenzo Carter's a guy that, really is you determine how well you play. Another boomer.
Will Cowart with the punt. Under 2 minutes to go. So as we get ready to wrap this up, Stinch, a couple of thoughts, takeaways, if you will, from the spring game.
Well, it's hard to take too much away other than the passing game. Obviously, they were looking to give these fans a show. They got it. I think Jacob Eason, in his first opportunity to show fans and his teammates what he would look like in a true game day type of an atmosphere, maybe a game day plus. because there's not going to be any other time when this stadium is 93,000 Georgia fans. There were no opposing team fans here today. This is nothing but Georgia folks. He handled himself well. You look at it. Did a pass rusher emerge? Not necessarily. The offensive line looked great in the run game? No, not really. You know, there's a lot that needs to be settled, but there's also some encouraging signs, especially at the receiver spot, I think, where Jason Stanley, I think, affirmed what we've been hearing from the coaches.
Jackson Harris again with a reception.
Tight ends too. You know, incidentally, that's something that we've heard so much about. You can believe that, you know, we did the G-Day game last year. Different coaching staff, but we heard a lot about multiple tight ends in the formation. It never materialized. I'd be shocked if that wasn't the case. We didn't actually see it out on the field when they start keeping score this season.
Riley Ridley with the reception. Pick up about 7. Saddle Fintang with the coverage. Big tackle in the middle of the field on Jackson Harris by Tim Kimbrough, the senior.
We've seen some pretty good play from those inside linebackers. You know, sometimes the coaches, especially a new coaching staff, it may be difficult to figure out where your strengths are. I think that's been borne out in this game. The inside linebacking position looks like it's well manned and deep at that.
Lambert just checks in. His pass is complete across midfield to Reggie Davis. And a timeout taken with 1:08.
We talk about the quarterbacks. Keep in mind that this is, albeit not a true game atmosphere, this is Kirby Smart's first chance to be a head coach in a game. Calling timeouts, trying to manage the clock. Among his quarterbacks, the numbers that everybody's going to jump out is that 218 yards, 16 of 28 by Jacob Eason. And a couple of those wow throws that we've been hearing about. #1 pocket passer coming out of high school, should still be in high school, hooking up with Riley Ridley, Isaac Nauta, a couple of his fellow early enrollees, then finding Reggie Davis downfield along the sideline. Strong first outing. Albeit, yeah, sure, it's just a practice, but it's an important one for him.
Kirby Smart said it when we talked to him in the third quarter. Asked him about playing in front of this size crowd and this environment. He says, you know what I was impressed with? He had blinders on. It didn't look like he was bothered or rattled at all by this scene in his first appearance in something like this, in this type of setting.
You know, even his dad, Tony Eason, coached him all through rec ball, middle school, high school. He's been on the field with his son. He said, oh, he's been kind of a cool kid. I wonder what it's going to be like because it's so chaotic in these practices by design. You know, how will he handle it? And he seems to have handled it very, very well. That's important. You're sitting there talking to another great former quarterback at Georgia, Mike Cavan, special assistant to the head coach and Kirby Smart.
Nice play by DeAndre Walker, the sophomore out of Fairburn, Georgia. Went for the football, knocked it out of there.
DeAndre Walker's had a pretty good game. You know, he's been able to get loose on a number of occasions. Nice, quick first step, able to get around the edge and run the arc and end up right on top of the quarterbacks at the bottom of their drop.
Ramsey, far side, knocked away at the last minute. Looking for Reggie Davis. So after this one, Georgia will evaluate the tape. Everybody will take a deep breath. Coaches will kind of recharge their batteries. And then they'll get after it. Start breaking down tapes, individual work. As Ignata again with a nice little move. Gets out of bounds, but into July, beginning of August, when they all reconvene, you can bet that their focus will change dramatically. The fun and games are over.
That's right. Yep. They want to be able to point to a game day atmosphere, 93,000 people. But this is as great of an atmosphere as it was. It's an artificial one. This is a contrived environment for the players on the field, for the fans, recruits. But in that opener, you go to a neutral site in the Georgia Dome facing a division champion in North Carolina, one that gave Clemson all that it wanted a season ago, and that's when it gets real. It's fun and games up until then.
Let's go down to Shannon.
Coach, your first spring game is in the books. Okay, coming into this game, I know you had expectations for all three of those quarterbacks. Which one of them met those expectations?
Well, we'll wait and watch the tape.
Knew you were going to say that.
Educated decisions than to judge and rush to judgment. So I think all of them challenged each other. All of them competed, did a good job in the huddle, but we're going to watch the tape and make a better decision.
You told the guys in the third that your philosophy, one of them, is do the duty that lies nearest. What is that before you guys meet again for fall?
To get ready in the offseason. We got to have a great weight program. We got to get stronger. We got to get more physical on the front. We got to be able to dominate the line of scrimmage in this league. So the duty that lies nearest is to get stronger.
What's been the most meaningful part of this day for you?
I would say, first of all, these kids right here competing and coming out and playing hard and doing what I asked them to do. But the biggest thing is what these fans did for this program and put us back on the map. I think that's a special thing.
Thanks so much, Coach. I'll get to your player here. Sony Michel, we'll start with that. Obviously, Coach just talking about how many fans were in this place. What did you think when you walked out of that locker room and saw everybody?
It was amazing. I mean, Dog Nation got the best fans in the world, I would say. They had maybe over 100,000, and we was expecting 93. And so I congratulate every fan, and I thank them, and thanks for coming out.
As a guy who has been part of this program, what do you use spring games for? Well, what's the most important part of it?
To get better, to work on little parts of my game, blocking, seeing what my blocking skill, my blocks are coming from, and using my abilities to my best advantage.
What'd you think about Eason? He was a young guy out there for you guys on the offense. What'd you think about the way he performed?
He performed good today, but there's a lot of room for improvement, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to come back in the summer, June, get together as a team, and just get better.
Thanks so much. We'll see you in the fall.
Thank you.
Guys?
All right, Shannon, thank you very much. Easton finishes with 218 yards passing, 1 touchdown. For Matt Stinchcomb and Shannon Spick, I'm Dave Neal saying so long from Georgia. E60 on ESPNU is next.